Welcome to the Mechanical Room. A Centrotherm production focusing on all things in and around the HVAC industry. And now, your hosts, Michael Sakaris and Matthew Price.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, safe venting enthusiasts the world over, those who don tuxedos for HVAC awards events, trade show attendees, and everyone in between, welcome to Season 4 of the Mechanical Room. Mike Sakaris, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. It's amazing to me that it's Season 4. They have flown by.
We have not missed we've done this one a month. This is now our fourth season, fourth year doing it. So this is episode 37.
So Season 4, Episode 1, or 37. Wow, that's quite amazing.
It really is. And I am incredibly proud of in particular, the growth from starting it during COVID.
Yeah, in our homes.
In our homes, our
That's
respective home offices. You know,
that's where we cooked up this idea. It's like, what do we do to stay relevant and top of mind?
Indeed.
Let's do a podcast.
And even from the jump, we had amazing guests.
We did.
And we have continued to have amazing guests throughout.
Do you remember guest 1?
Guest 1. So it wasn't the first episode. It was episode 2.
Our first guest.
Oh,
episode
yes,
2,
of course,
yes.
of course. Our first guest was Terrace Chan.
It wasn't?
It was, so
Good job.
of course. And then from there, I believe maybe was Talbot our second guest?
I think Talbot
third?
was our second or third. I think second.
You know, and then Jeff Superl was one of our first guests from Mechanical Business, who no longer works there.
Yes.
And also amongst our first guests was Matt Gritman,
Yes.
who we'll be talking about in a subsequent segment here just for a second. So it kind of comes full circle. But I mean, we have had truly epic people on this show, a who's who of HVAC, really.
Yes.
Not us notwithstanding, of course.
It's not about us.
It's not. It is not. So and this episode is just like that. And as much as we have the owner, proprietor, the brains, the brawn, the beauty behind Howard Mechanical, Alex Bishoff is our guest, and he is truly OG Centrotherm.
He is.
I mean, one of the first people that I know. I mean, now we have people posting our installations constantly, but he was one of the first people to post photos of installing Iniflu, and he is
actually one of the first in the U.S. that has had hands-on with Air Excellent.
Yes, indeed. So a true trailblazer and a true original, and someone who makes his own rules and is his own boss as we'll get into, of course. Alex is really a one of a kind guy.
And very soft-spoken guy, kind of mellow, kind of low-key.
Yeah, very low-key guy.
Yeah.
But there's an intensity there too.
Yes, he likes to be first in a lot of things.
And that's
potentially maybe even Miami.
Yes, indeed. I think he has mentioned that he is motivated to be the victor at the end, which I'm hopeful we can provide that prize. I'm not sure if anything is finalized yet, but for anyone who's listening, the hope would be that the victorious party who goes for the gold and captures it in their gloved HVAC hardened hand will be invited to the ribbon cutting here in the new facility. This is also our first podcast in the new building.
In our blue room, which doesn't look very blue to you, but
your shirt does. My pen does. And this also, this mouse pad ought to look kind of funny. Thanks for the invisible mouse pad.
That's actually pretty cool. Way that works.
And oh my God, I'm so excited. Speaking of Mr. Rob Kwizak from R&J, he sent some amazing clips, and I am so excited to see how his film noir turns out. Oh my goodness, we're really leveling up the content here in HVAC stuff. It's really, really funny.
I'm looking forward to it. I have a kind of storyboard understanding of what's going on, and it seems pretty interesting.
And I must give a shout out to Alexander Lewis, fun New York guy Perone. He is someone he's been my best friend for decades now.
He's the voice of the behind-the-scenes Centrotherm.
He's the sultry baritone behind the funniest clips in HVAC. He's a voice actor, and I just send him a script, and he's typically, when I send him this stuff, doing some recording. He's in a vocal booth doing voices, doing God only knows what, reading narrations and stuff like that. So he's always happy to help me out with clips and stuff. He's done the voice work on a number of our pieces, and it's always very good quality and adds to the humor. He knows exactly what to do. Wait till you after when we're done recording here, I'll play you the audio.
I know what's there. I haven't heard the audio.
The audio though, wait till you hear it. It's like like trust me when I say everything hits. It's like it's pitch perfect, and I must say that he and I have a very good creative partnership going. He's able to he knows when I send him something on the page, he can bring it to life.
That's what his profession is. So of course.
Correct. So thank you, Alex, for that. And we look forward to the next thing and many, many more projects as well. We have a few things up our sleeve that we haven't even debuted yet, that some of which you've seen, some of which you haven't.
Yes.
So we're just waiting in the wings on all that stuff too. So, I mean, a lot going on.
We are in the new building. 100% of the Centrotherm staff is now in the new building. We've been transitioning from Pearl Street, South Pearl Street, to here in
Waterford.
It's so new it escapes me. We're in Waterford, New York now. We're in a brand new facility, twice the size, more room to grow.
Yeah, Waterford makes me think of The Handmaid's Tale.
Yes, indeed.
Have you watched The Handmaid's Tale?
I have not, but I know it was filmed here.
No. I think you're.
Was it in Hudson? It was in New York.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do. No, one of the characters and one who's not.
So much for what
So I think what you're thinking of is there's an HBO show called The Gilded Age that was filmed in Troy recently. Possibly that's what you're thinking of. I'm not sure. But one of the characters in The Handmaid's Tale is his name is Commander Waterford. Spoiler alert. Like 30 handmaids beat the shit out of him to death in one of those seasons. There, it's really wild. They beat him to death together in one of It's a very satisfying scene, I must say. Spoiler alert for anybody who's not caught up on Handmaid's Tale. I mean, it's like 4 years ago at this point, so like whatever. But it's a very intense show. But that's what I think of. I think of Commander Waterford getting beat to death by a bunch of aggressive handmaids.
You never cease to. So let's go to our first and my favorite. What do we have? It's
so before we do Show Us Your Pipe, which we're going to go to subsequently, we are just back from AHR. So let's just give a quick little highlight reel so everybody can kind of have a first person perspective of AHR. So the tactical awards, certain booths, shaking hands, kissing babies, that kind of stuff. So let's roll a little bit of the AHR highlight reel, and then when we come back, we've got not one, but two Lifetime Achievement Awards to give out. We thought kick off the year in a big way.
Since we didn't have a recognition that we did in the season ending last year, we figured we'd do two.
So let's roll it.
You guys have any words of wisdom as I take video, not photos?
Dan's man. It's all about Dan.
It's all
the man, right here.
You said
photo? We're doing photos?
We're doing videos. Always.
Photos?
Yeah, stay. Oh, I got this.
Want to say what up? Enjoy your day.
Welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed some of our favorite clips from AHR. It's always fun. It's always exciting. It's always cool to see, friends and colleagues and business partners. Just tour around, see all the new stuff.
I go to the competitor's booth and like kick one of the poles out.
Yeah, make it look bad. We don't
yeah.
need to do that. It happens naturally.
I bring primer over to, and I just like
splatter it all over the place.
Paint it real sloppy over there, and then I pass out in their booth and like, hold it in my hand.
We need a emergency,
paramedics over to the IPEX booth. Someone who's
So with that said, it is time for my very favorite part of the podcast every month. And this month is a special, like we were saying earlier, 2 people that we are recognizing, Lifetime Achievement Awards. We've been doing it a while. We figured a little bit of elevation to something a little special. So what do we got?
Yes, indeed. So we couldn't pick just one, and we thought we would go with a big splash to start season 4. So there are 2 individuals who are, I believe they have both been featured more than one time as show us. They like to show their pipes. Let's just put it that way.
They're not bashful.
No. The pipe is out, and they want you to see it.
Yes.
So it is shown. It is visible. They highlight it very often in their Instagram accounts and photos and what have you. So congratulations to joining the Mount Rushmore of Lifetime Achievement winners, of which I think we've only did it one time before. We've done this one time before. Terrence and the Impetus is already a Lifetime Achievement champion here for Show Us Your Pipe. Joining him in the Mount Rushmore of Show Us Your Pipe winners is Charles Buddy Felt, who has countless examples across many commercial installations and several
across New England.
Yes. Several types of appliances,
Absolutely.
Several types of installations, and also a vociferous advocate for safe venting and best practices. Not a bashful guy at all. I see him in the comments basically correcting wrong behavior is a very polite way to put it. He is very colorful. He's a very red man in a lot of ways. Buddy, we love you. And he is, excuse me, an expert. He knows more about this stuff than I ever will. And he continually is putting together what can only be described as high level professional mechanical rooms. And he primarily seems to work with large diameter stuff.
Yeah.
So he's handling the big boys, the big BTU appliances, and doing it deftly and safely. So, Buddy, well, you're one of our favorites. You're coming on down to Miami. He's a veteran of Miami, and if you recall, I said that he was going to win the Kahoot, and he did.
He did.
So, I mean, I thought, I had faith in him. I knew he would do it. I know that he knows all the pressure ratings and the water column. I mean, he knows that stuff back. He is the manual. Read the manual. He is the manual. So, Buddy,
congrats, buddy.
Welcome to the Mount Rushmore of Show Us Your Pipe. The second inductee,
and it's not an installer.
Not an installer, but a safe venting enthusiast in his own regard, and also a very successful sales rep for Navien and other great lines as well. Matt Gritman, who we have mentioned already in this podcast as one of our seminal guests.
Early our first year. Yes.
Certainly, he was within single digits on the first season. He was one of our first ones, and for good reason, because we gave him the Pipe Award that episode. He is continually featuring incredible Navien racks. It's funny, we talk about commercial and Buddy's doing large diameter stuff. Matt is typically showing many MPEs and other smaller Naviens racked together in 2-inch, generally 2-inch off the appliance into larger manifolds and whatnot. But commercial water heating has been his specialty. I guess Navien has introduced like a combi recently and what have you. But he has overseen the venting of Citi Field and the Port Authority in New York, JFK Airport. And the list goes on and on and on.
There is at least one Navien Centrotherm and beautiful Navien Centrotherm installed pretty much every month, if not more.
And sometimes these are ongoing projects that he does. So he does something that a lot of people don't often think to do or just or care to do, which is he will often show the evolution of the job.
Yep.
So you'll see it in various states of completion, then of course finalized, like very cute. I'll never forget the Shea Stadium one, which not only has, I mean, it has Navian colors because the Mets colors are Navian colors, blue and orange. But there's like a little Mets hat on one of the water heaters. Very cute little. I wonder if he did that.
Yeah.
I
like the ones where several of them where you have the plywood and then you have the drawing on where the appliances are going to go, with the sketch above it. I mean, it's pretty cool to see the progression of those jobs.
He does a great job. I haven't seen him a little bit, but I talk to him pretty regularly. One of the last times he was up here, we helped get his mom hooked up with some venting for a water heater in her house. She actually he's down in Long Island. His mom lives about 40 minutes from here. So, local, quite the gardener, as I understand it as well.
Yes.
Wink. So, well, I think you know.
Wow. Takes me a second. Yes, tomato plants are wonderful.
Yes, indeed. Show us your garden comes next.
Yes.
We should be venting some of those, right? You need a hot water situation. Well, Matt, we'll have to talk about that, sir. Well, anyways, he joins the Mount Rushmore because he certainly deserves it. He's won more than one Show Us Your Pipe award.
Not he, but his contractors that did the install.
Well, I mean, in theory, it's
through
him. And sometimes it's been Big City Plumbing and Heating.
I remember.
There's a handful of contractors that he, of course, works with as well. He's their go-to guy and one of the top sales reps, nationwide, and doing just an incredible commercial installations with incredible frequency. So, Buddy Felt.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Matt Gritman. Maybe a Photoshop of these people might be in order for the Mount Rushmore of safe venters.
Okay.
So we might have to think about that. So with that in mind, welcome to the lifetime achievement status. We'll have to think about who can round out that. I mean, there's a few other people who deserve it.
We'll pick them throughout the year.
But that's a good start to the year. And thank you for so generously showing us your pipes. Welcome back to the mechanical room, and we welcome in a Centrotherm OG as our first guest of the year. He's got experience installing both InnoFlue and Air Excellent, which is a rarity for a contractor in the United States right now. Say hello to our guest, first of the year, season 4, episode 1, Alex Bishoff of Howard Mechanical. Welcome to the mechanical room.
Mr.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
We're doing good, man. How are you?
Well, busy winter day today. As you see, we're in the truck. I just took a break, to talk to you guys, but it's very cold and very snowy today.
Indeed. We thank you for braving the elements here because it is cold. Like it's like 17, 18 up here in upstate New York. What's it like down in Maryland?
It's like that at night. I think it's going to be like single digits tonight, but right now it's literally 32, so we're right at freezing.
Well, I do believe it's closer to like 84, 85 and sunny in Miami Beach, so we have that to look forward to.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hopefully it's no rain. No precipitation.
Well, it'll carry on one way or another.
Indeed. We were there doing Squid Game prep work in early December, and it rained the entire time, and it was fascinating. It was windy.
And it was incredibly windy. At one point, we lost umbrellas, and it was quite the weather.
Indeed. You're and Alex, of course, our guest here today is a veteran of the first season, so bringing some insight into the sequel here. It's I guess one of my first questions for you before we even get started is, you're Alex Bishoff. Where does the Howard come from?
The Howard. Okay, so the Howard is more or less the county in Maryland, Howard County. That's actually where I started the business. So I really didn't want to overcomplicate the name or make it sound like a mom and pop shop. So I figured, my neighborhood, the residents I serve, they should recognize Howard very easily. So I used Howard as the slogan name. and then Howard Mechanical Services just to kind of bundle in the boilers, the HVAC, everything that we do.
That's way simpler and way to the point of I thought maybe it was going to be, well, it used to be, there's this guy Earl Howard
That
from Maryland,
acquired their business. That's what
yeah,
I thought.
exactly. It was a takeover, and I took all of his book of business, very aggressively. Now I own the county, whatever. That's actually, I mean, a pretty clever way to kind of stake out territory and stuff like that. And clearly, you've had a great success in that area. You're one of the top mechanical contractors, in the United States, to my estimation. So, again, thank you for spending some time with us.
That's a very flattering comment. I don't, it depends on how you measure it, I guess. But
Well, how would you measure it?
well, I mean, I'd measure success. I mean, you can measure it on how much money you make. How big your brand really is. If you're a nationwide contractor, or one of these big companies, I guess, that are franchised. But I think I measure my success based on the quality of work that I bring to the trade, and just trying to, set certain standards, or try to keep raising the standards like a lot of guys are doing now. So I think in that regard, yeah, I'm successful, but I'm not as successful as I'd like to be. I guess that would probably be
Well,
the catch to
let's
everything.
talk, let's talk a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about where you came from. I mean, obviously, we know a little bit about the business now, Howard Mechanical, because of the territory, but did you start off working for someone else? Did
Oh
you?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I started working for a friend of mine's father, who started his own company. He was from Trinidad and Tobago, the island in the Caribbean.
Sweet,
And I
sweet.
mean, we were more of an air conditioning contractor because that's what he knew most about. But we also got into doing a lot of Sears jobs or Sears work when they were in business still. And we replaced a lot of boilers for them in the wintertime. Being in Washington, D.C., there's a lot of older homes, a lot of old boilers, and a lot of jobs that we could have used your product, but I didn't know about it, or it wasn't available to us at the time. Um, but I started out with them, and I kind of bounced around a little bit between big company, mom and pop shop. I joined the military in the middle of that as well, so I had a lot of downtime, um, from the trade, because I did do that. And then, once I was in the reserve unit and I was back here in Maryland, I started working in the trade again, and I got fired. Believe it or not, I got fired from a company, not for my work, but because I was doing side work. Fair enough. The guy I used to work for was very, I guess, butthurt about me doing certain jobs, and I don't know. I mean, that's the best way I can put it, because I wasn't taking his customers. I wasn't going on service calls that, saying, "Hey, don't worry, you don't have to pay my boss, pay me." I wasn't doing anything like that. I was sitting home on a May hot day, and there was no work, which everyone in this trade knows that there's no way, there's nothing going on in the summertime. And what come to find out, he was balancing me and my other install buddy that worked with me, because he didn't want to pay us the top dollar, and he brought on another install crew or sub, and we didn't know about it. And he was using them to do a lot of jobs in between. So I'm sitting at home 2-3 days a week in May, and I'm like, well, I guess I have time to do side jobs. So I started doing a lot of side jobs, and he found out about it and essentially fired me. So at that point, I'm not in the military anymore. Um, I didn't want to go work for another company again, because I knew I was going to keep doing side jobs because I was getting more and more of them. Well, the only thing that made sense was, now's the time to take the risk and start a business, and try it out. I was young enough, and I always said that at some point I wanted to have something that I can actually lead, and and do and enjoy, and trade work was, kind of bundled all that together. So that's how I started.
So
And
with that
I
said,
started about 11 years ago, and what's going on 12 years now. And I plan on probably expanding in the sense that I want to be able to do more work nationwide. I think my biggest challenge now is I'm trying to figure out a good way to do that, like what I should do, if I should focus on hydronic heating or energy efficiency products like the Air Excellence, doing high performance homes that need, the building science that we're pretty good at doing. But that I think that way, I can really grow my brand better. That's I think where I'd want it to go next. And then I
I
can
want to come
measure more
back to the
success.
Air Excellent thing in a bit, but as a startup, interesting, compelling story on how you did that. I'm sure there's people that listen to the mechanical room here that have pondered potentially starting off their business and haven't. But if you have to look back, what are some of the lessons that you learned, making that transition, right? You got to take that risk. What are some of the lessons that you've learned that would be good insight for someone who's contemplating making that leap?
Or maybe something you might do differently.
It's funny you asked that. I talk to a lot of people about this, well, almost every week. I've convinced a lot of guys to do it too. But the one thing that I did do right, and I did mention that, but I sold all of my toys, motorcycles,
Mm.
a lot of stuff to have hard capital to start the business without being in debt. And that's really hard to do now. And as you grow, you'll learn that there is a such thing as good debt, but that it's whatever you can, what risk you can take on. They say don't bite off more than you can chew, but sometimes you have to kind of make that next step. And at that point, and even at starting a business, you really need to understand what you're really good at, what you're not good at, and you have to find a sweet spot of where you can manage your cost and manage your customers without things growing too fast or getting out of control. And then you can really build a reputation first, and then is probably the right time to start jumping out, buying, getting more trucks, more guys. But it's really finding a sweet spot in the trade that you're really good at and that you have less competition. And that would be my best advice. I mean, a lot of people want to start a business, but they don't know where to start. You should always start and stick with what you know first before taking on too much.
Right. And so let me dovetail that into your Air Excellence side of things. Uh, we have a product for those who maybe don't know. We have a product that we sell up in Canada. It's called Air Excellent. It's not quite available yet in the U.S. toll free.
Only to the top
Some
contractors.
special
Top
people, maybe.
secret stuff.
Yeah. So you mentioned taking a risk and pioneering out there. You yourself have pushed us to do some introduction of the Air Excellent product in the U.S. And that ties to your aspirations of doing different things, high end things. Uh, it, how do you see that part of your business evolving? Cutting edge, you said going potentially national. What's your thought? How does not just Air Excellent, but any other product fit into that equation?
Well,
What?
I'll tell you, it's so a couple of things. Of course, you guys have an edge with the end of flu stuff being mandated by the government. Things like that. You're meeting those standards, and on the other side with the air excellence, I know that there's still some barriers or challenges, but the one thing that helps us out a lot is the building codes have changed. We build these really tight homes, so they need fresh air. I mean, you need it. There's no doubt about that. I mean, otherwise, it's all kind of health issues living in your own house. Um, but it's more so that we've evolved to that point, right? We can make an airtight home. We can make the HVAC equipment like heat pumps actually perform better, so we're not wasting a lot of fuel gas on heating a house with leaky windows. But the big thing would be really that you have products that make your job easier. So with the Air Excellence, being able to run the smaller ductwork and really getting air where you need it to go and not worrying about all the design challenges from the architect when you're building a house or retrofitting this into an older home, you're able to actually get these retrofitting an old home to bring it up to code, or building a new house and making sure that it's balanced with fresh air and exhaust. I think you guys have an edge because your product is very affordable. And that's the other challenge is the mandates and all these new things that are coming out. There's a lot of cost involved that a lot of people they're not prepared for it. I mean, when they see the proposals, they hear the numbers, it's things are already generally more expensive, but they're like, well, why do I need this? And then being able to explain that, educate people, and then have the right products, like me using Mitsubishi Electric. They're a very reputable brand. They're very reliable, and they have a solution for almost everything. As far as going, with electric heat and not using fossil fuels. But on the other end, you got condensing boilers. You got high efficient radiant heating systems that can heat a home with, not burning as much gas. Well, what about the products that are venting, the carbon dioxide? That's we have the Innoflu. We use that, and then being able to show these things to a customer, they're they're reassured that we're using the best and most up-to-date standards. And a lot of people are just not unfortunately they're just not educated about these things, or they can't keep up with the changes. I mean, our industry changes rapidly. There's always a new product, there's always innovation happening. And I feel like to be the better contractor and to grow, when my business model is I want to sell myself as a professional, as someone that really knows what they're doing, and I take pride in it. And I take not just pride, but I make it a point to only use the best products.
So excellent comments. Earlier this week, I was traveling with Rob Mahoney, our regional in the East, and we were down in Florida, and we were having some conversations, and we got on the topic, and I'm going to ask you a direct question about a contractor and their mindset. And we were talking about a distributor, large one that will go unnamed, and some of the feedback was, it's like, your product is cutting edge, we love it, we know it's coming, but my customers, my contractors aren't asking for it. And until it's code and it's mandated, of
Yeah.
course, I'm not going to get any of my contractors using it, because they're only going to use it if they're absolutely mandated and pushed to use it. Obviously, you're in Maryland and beyond. It's not, UL 1738 is a recognized standard, but it's not enforced and mandated, and jobs are getting red tagged. But if you are a contractor in Florida talking to this distributor who is going to pause and wait until the gauntlet, of enforcement comes, what do you tell them as a contractor on why they should be at least opening their mind a little bit? Why is Centrotherm, and I don't want to make it a commercial, but it crossed my mind. Why would
So this is the sales director asking you directly for sales strategy.
Yeah, there you go.
What's
the pushback and say, look, this is a necessary thing. It's better. It's warranty. How do you convince them as a contractor to do it?
Well, the thing that I use, or what let me not say use. We're not using any tricks or any strategies per se, but what I usually tell people is it's better to prepare for the future than to spend money twice and go back and redo it. So you have to look at it that way. Do you want to spend the money now and not spend it later, or do you want to spend money now and later?
Right.
That's how I would present it. But and some contractors are going to care to do that, and some people aren't. But like I said, there is a clientele that actually cares to do that, and then there's the clientele that doesn't. And unfortunately, some things, yeah, until it becomes code or mandated, it is hard to kind of sway somebody, especially if the costs don't make sense. But again, with the Centrotherm products, and I'm not just saying this just because I like the products, but you guys are definitely very reasonable with being competitive and not overpricing things. So I don't think that most people are probably more just they don't understand why they need it. So once you can explain the why, then it's easier to say, hey, that you need to buy this. It's like, well, why do I need to buy it?
So in essence, it's the awareness and it's
Yeah.
working with contractors that get it and really care is what it comes down to.
Yeah, well, here I'll give you a really good example. Okay, now there's a job that I had to go back behind someone else, and I can't say who it was, but it was a boiler, and it had odor venting, and they went to convert everything to a condensing boiler basically, but the flue that was in place was old B vent, and they tried to retrofit into that because they couldn't run new pipe. It was a riser in a commercial building, and instead of just running the Centrotherm liner or something, they tried to glue PVC regular schedule 40 and just push it up and keep going and keep going. Well, of course, some of that glue didn't dry right or whatever the case may be. It collapsed, and I don't even have to explain the problems that they had, but it caused all kind of issues with carbon monoxide. And it's one of those things where, hey, if you just had used the right product, or if you got, this is why you need it. Maybe that's a better a job or a case study for you, for an example.
Right.
But it's one of those things where if the flue pipe is not done right the first time, then it'll never be right. And if you're trying to keep up with retrofitting a building, then you have to explain to people that this is what people are going to use in the future. So you have to think about that. You have to plan for it. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of shady contractors too that they want to build it, warranty it for a year, and they're gone. So
Right.
Right. It's funny you talk
that's the
about.
other thing. That's hard to sell. That those people are not. You can't convince anyone on that end.
Well, you hit on something that has become a major theme on this podcast when we talk to people like I'm looking at over your shoulder, and at the conclusion of this question, I do want a tour of these stickers because I could recognize a ton of them off the bat. But you are hitting on something again that is a main theme to what has been a lot of the guests here, and also the people who I think make up the elite of HVAC, in particular the visible people on social media, where they're striving for professionalism. They're trying to use best-in-class parts because they want the best-in-class installation. And this sort of uplifting of the trades and working professional and showing how how good you are at this sort of stuff, and I mean, and at the end of the day, how functional and how good the installation is definitely a theme with people like Jeff and people with Mike who are like right over your shoulder there, and yourself, of course. And also, I mean, other people, just to throw them out. Ben HVAC Strong is the same exact way. Ben from HVAC Tactical is the same way, and Terrence and all, and just any any number of these people.
Endless number.
Yeah, and I mean, like Schaefer Plumbing, for example, is a newcomer. I don't know if you know those guys out of Alberta, but they are they're big supporters of ours for the very same reasons that you're describing. And it's pretty heartening for us as a manufacturer to hear that, because I mean, any sleazy sales guy can kind of feed you lies about the product,
Yeah.
but nice to be able to lean on a product that people actually believe in and is the safe choice, the safety choice. And then forget all the other stuff about easy installation, blah blah blah, all that other stuff. Warranty, that other manufacturer BS that is nice to have also. But I mean, it's just nice to hear that. It's very heartening again. So with that in mind, give us a tour of those stickers of all the great professionals that you have behind
Oh
you.
yeah, so that guy right there, everyone knows who that guy is.
Yeah, we know Mike for sure.
And his dog.
Got a couple of these Jeff stickers. This is actually Brian put these stickers on here. My guy Brian, HVAC addict. There's his sticker. Looks like that's yours, Mike.
Yeah, that's mine.
RLS.
The OG ones. RLS, good company.
Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah,
Oh,
Shav.
do you miss
Yeah,
Shaq?
this guy right there.
Oh yeah.
It's Mr. Price.
He doesn't know shit about HVAC, that guy.
You don't need to know that much to know more than most people.
So you hit on our dear friend, a big supporter of the contact lens industry. How are you managing without our dear friend Shav?
Well, he's welcome to come back anytime. I mean, look, I never try to take anyone, take anyone's dreams away, whatever you want to do. I'm not going to bash or have any harsh feelings, but I'm pretty sure he's probably going to get bored one day and want to come back and do this work.
There's a mentality of being in the field, and sitting at a desk all day long and yet to be seen.
And he misses it because his name appears in the list of the people who are interested to come to Miami. And unfortunately, it's not a meetup for, I don't know, computer nerds or whatever. So,
No software programmers.
What's that?
No software programmers.
Right, exactly. So I mean, ultimately, like if we had, an infinite budget, we would bring him down because, he's such a wonderful guy, really supportive and funny, like low key, kind of like goofy. He's a zany character in addition to being like a funny and smart guy. But unfortunately, not this time around. So, but you being a return attendee to Miami, I'm just curious to get some impressions of what you thought it was going into last time. What was your impression of it last time, and now what are you expecting for, or what are you excited for this upcoming season 2?
Well, I'll say I never watched Squid Games. I never, the show itself or the Netflix series. So I was really excited to see what it. So is this how the TV series, does it resemble this, or? But the thing that I liked about it, I think, was the fact that you guys incorporated your product. There's a lot of product knowledge, even though it was a social event. So it's very informative. And I mean, yeah, being down in South Beach is, of course, a nice setting, a nice scene to kind of get everyone to relax. But and I got to meet some guys there last year that we may not have probably ever met in person. Maybe it's who knows, maybe at AHR, but that was also good. And being able to have actually one-on-one conversation with some of these other trade professionals that I'd watch on Instagram or talk to, that was really helpful.
Just to cut you off, I'm curious as to, because you're a mainstay. You presented at the Tactical Awards last year. People know who you are, and so I'm curious as to who you were excited to finally meet in person that we were able to help facilitate that.
Well, Aaron Bond, of course. Okay. We've been on Instagram for a long time since we started hashtagging HVAC. He was one of the guys that I followed as well for a long time. Does excellent boiler work. John Sadler, the Canadian crew. Honestly, I'll just say all the Canadian crew that we just probably wouldn't see, and then being during COVID and all that madness, it actually, I'm sure it helped those guys. I mean, I've never seen anyone so happier to come to Miami. And people from Canada, I used to go to Miami for spring break.
I'll say one thing about, maybe, I don't know if I should say it, to give away a little bit about the event a little bit. But, last time there was a lot of Centrotherm challenges, as you know, and if anybody followed it or go to our Instagram page and see some of the clips, there was things around the product, but it was very much Inaflu focused. Mm-hmm. This time, I think the Canadians may have a little bit of an advantage except for the little dark horse, out of the U.S. There's going to be an an air excellent component to the event. And as since you've had your hands on it, you may have a little bit of an advantage compared to your American contenders. So a hint to everybody.
We should actually, so just because he's on here.
Yeah.
No, we haven't really given out sort of a full-ish agenda, now without giving the games away. But just so you are prepared, and anybody who listens in.
It's an advantage if you listen.
Exactly. If you're listening in, there's an advantage here, right? So just to run you quickly through what the day-to-day looks like. So I'm pretty sure we got you on an early flight out of BWI to get into Miami Tuesday morning. We're going to shuttle. It's a block. Walk a block to the beach, lunch and beers on the sand and
Cokes.
Well, sure, Mountain Dew, whatever. The nitrous oxide. No, I think that was projected. I tried. But on the beach, throwing some footballs around and playing in the water and all kinds of stuff like that. Then back to the hotel. You can kind of jump in the pool, get yourself ready. Then we got a scavenger hunt plan throughout South Beach, which Michael and I have to finalize as of yet, but we're
setting up teams, and it's like the Squid Games, right? There's points involved and there's team, elements to it.
So scavenger hunt throughout the city, which, in the downtown part of
walkable from
South Miami Beach, let's say. And then back to the hotel for dinner at the same place where we had the cocktail hour area, the Como room on the second floor of the hotel. Then after that, do whatever you want. Everybody goes out and goes to the cigar bars or whatever. There are certain clubs that have that pander to all sorts of lifestyle choices on Miami Beach. So when it's all said and done on Tuesday night, go for it, right? But early on Wednesday, breakfast, and then over to the Temple House, which you well aware of, and then we've got some dodgeball and some wiffle ball and some other stuff as well, including
in a flu challenge and an air excellent challenge.
So that's basically the agenda, and then of course we have another banquet on the roof like we had last time.
We have a rowing challenge too.
Well, we have a boating challenge.
Boating,
so,
a regatta.
A regatta, yes, indeed. So I guess now I'll ask you, because I'm trying to set up a schedule. I took a meeting last night with somebody that's a sort of a rarity in the HVAC, not rarity, but someone who's not related to the HVAC world, the tattoo guy.
Okay.
So Alex, can I put you down? Are you interested in being tattooed at the Temple House?
Sure.
Fantastic.
I already got a lot of tattoos. I got space, so
Fantastic. Well, last night my tattoo guy came over to my house to discuss this stuff. Event. And so he will be prepared with a flash sheet that has a host of Miami related stuff, a host of HVAC/Centrotherm stuff, and then a few other little bits and pieces and what have you. So, if you got room somewhere, you might be able to get an elbow on your elbow.
An elbow on my elbow. Yeah, that's right here.
Favorite things today.
Yeah, I got space right here too, so I can use a filler.
Perfect. Okay.
So last time, as you remember, we did the temporary tattoos, and everybody kind of got a kick out of that. So
going forward, you gotta go. If you're not growing, you're dying, right? So season 3 we'll have a team of tattoo people doing a full back piece at the Temple House.
Season 3.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. We'll see. Let's get us through the second one first here, before we do that too. So anyways, you just got the rundown more or less. In the only people who have had a more complete introduction to the agenda are our internal people here, and one rep really wants to know the details. So
which rep was that?
George Johnston. So more than pretty much anybody at this point. So hopefully you're ready to rock some dodgeball. Because that's another question. So I'll ask you, Alex. Should we allow overhand? You should be able to chuck these dodgeballs aggressively, right? That's my thinking.
Yeah, man. You gotta do a full spin. Just launch it. Sidearm, at least sidearm. You gotta give it sidearm.
All right, Kyle was asking. So Kyle Peterson, he's one of these Canadian guys. He's actually his handle is definitely Marpole Plumbing, and he's somebody who's really excited because he's BC and he chats with these guys, but he's never really met even his own BC people. So he's very excited to come down. And he was asking me, he said he played in a men's league for dodgeball.
So pay attention. If you're a captain and you need to pick somebody for your team, you may want to remember that.
So yeah, and he was like, I can't throw underhand. So I was like, I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming we should go full bore.
But there's going to be a twist to it. There's going to be an element of some pipe involved.
There will be. I mean, but anybody's going to be going for the headshot, I think.
Maybe.
Oh, man.
So another hint that I would give, Mr. Bischoff here obviously has installed Air Excellence, so there's an advantage in that. If you have not, read the install manual. You may have a little challenge where just flipping through some pictorial install guides may help you.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's easy. It snaps together pretty easily, but having a knowledge of it ahead of time is certainly going to be an advantage. For sure. So, all right, we've taken up a good deal of your time already today. When we say adios here, you're in the van. Where's your next stop? What's the rest of the day look like for you and Howard Mechanical?
Going home and getting on the computer to write proposals. That's really it. I gotta get stuff done before I come out to Chicago there. So got a lot to do.
So I guess that's the next question. Are you wearing it? Is your tuxedo prepared?
Suit.
Okay.
With
Excellent.
maybe a tie.
Maybe it's iron.
We'll see. I mean, we might have to wear a tuxedo, a real penguin one, as cold as it is, you know.
Oh, for sure. It's chilly up there, and I think my wife is coming to the tactical award, so you'll meet her there. She was like looking at the weather, and she's like, I don't know if we could walk. It's going to be 6 degrees. So I was like, yeah, we can take an Uber. So it's going to be cool.
It's colder there by the water too. So.
Oh, for sure.
It is.
So have you been to? So I know you were. I remember you on stage with Bond last year. Is this your third one, or is this your second one? Was last year your first time going to the Tactical Awards, or was that?
Yeah, it was the first. Yeah, it was the first time that I went last year. I was actually sick in the hospital on the first one.
Oh.
I didn't even make it out to Vegas, so that was unfortunate. But yeah, I was supposed to be there to, I think, receive an award at the first one. So, and then
Yeah, I think
Ben had his present since I was, I didn't make it to the first one.
Gotcha.
He had me present with Aaron.
Excellent. Well, I have fond memories of that and the awards show, just sort of in general. I'm pretty excited for Sunday. And actually, this is the first time, even though it's a detriment to Centrotherm a little bit, I'm actually excited for AHR because we don't have a booth. And that meant that there's a lot less responsibility on these two shoulders specifically. So it's a lot easier for me, even though it's maybe not the right move for us overall.
You don't have a booth?
We do not have a booth this year. We are we're toying with a strategy where we alternate years in terms of our focus, right? Let me tell you, it was really, really difficult to do AHR and then do the Squid Games right back to back. I mean, that was a monumental, and not only that, but we also did a rep event and the tactical awards. I mean, it was like an endless, there was just a lot going on. So
probably not a bad idea though. You don't want one to suffer. You focus on one, and it's better probably not to show off or show up than to show up half-ass.
Correct. Yeah, that's pretty much our thinking because we're only so many human beings. There's only so many hours in the day. Mike and I work them all as it is. So the Squid Games is bigger this time. I mean, throw a number out. How many folks do you think were part of the competition last year, and how many are in the mix this year?
What, 40 versus 80?
Yeah, it was about 27 versus about 58 now.
Yeah, I guess I was counting you guys.
Oh, you're right.
So we're back up to 60, over 60.
There's actually, now that I think about it, this has grown, and there's an excitement so much so that a couple of people are asked if they could share a room to bring, in some cases, an apprentice, and in some cases, a business partner and stuff. And was like, okay, well, that doesn't,
we'll pick up all the expenses, but
yeah. So
I
forgot about
with somebody?
There's at least 4 or 5 people who are bunking up together in order to get down there. So good on them. They want to bring their business partner or their apprentice. I mean, in the case you mentioned Colin Sadler. So he works with his son, and his son, who is a lovely kid, we had the pleasure of having dinner with him in Frankfurt, Germany at the ISH last year.
Yeah, they were at
Nice.
He, he's bringing his son Hayden, who works with him, works with John Sadler Plumbing, which to me is, kind of a goddamn amazing. That would be the third, or maybe even I think it's the third generation of Sadlers in that business, which is one of the top ones in BC. Same thing with Victor.
That's the goal I have in mind. Having a son and maybe another son, and Howard and Sons all over the place.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to ask you about that. I want to say your son is maybe like 2 or 3 at this point.
Almost. He's 16 months, going on 17 months now.
Okay, so he's almost 2.
Yeah, he's getting there. He is 2, basically. If you look at him, he's 2. He looks like a 2-year-old. Everyone thinks he's at least 2 or older. So.
And how's that been? I mean, that's your first kid, right?
Yeah, first kid. It's been great, but it's been a lot of work. My son is busier. He's busier than I am. Let's put it like that. As you can see, I didn't have time to set up in a nice podcast studio today, but my son is nonstop is probably the word. He's busy, so he needs to come work. He needs to come sit in his truck.
Channel that energy into something.
Yeah,
teach him to
you
use
need to do
something.
He'll be the demo guy for in the beginning.
There you go.
That's all the demo work.
That's a great way to do it, to be honest with you. I mean, you hear a lot of like good, that's paying the dues, right? I mean, if you hand over the keys to the company completely, then it goes right to their head. But if they earn it, then they earn it,
Yeah, no, he's definitely gonna learn it the same way I learned. You gotta start from the bottom, get into trade, learn what you can as you go, and take initiative. I mean, that's all that matters. Once you take initiative, you'll learn.
Well, that's fantastic, man. So, well, we
got to ask the final question.
Oh, what's the final question?
The question we always ask.
The question we always ask.
Go for it.
All right. So we covered HVAC stuff. We talked about AHR, the tactical. We talked about Miami and whatnot. We always kind of conclude on sort of like, Alex, the human being. So like when you turn off these annoying manufacturer voices that you're hearing through your phone right now, like, what music are you going to be playing through the van, or what are you listening to when you shut us up?
Well, recently I've been more of a podcast guy, just because, I just try to use my downtime in the truck to stay, informed of what's going on. And
cool.
Just sometimes I like listening to, comedy sketches. The music usually is all over the place. I even started listening to country music, and I used to never do that. But for me, it's just really using my time wisely. So I don't listen to a lot of the crazy music that I used to listen to. Let's put it like that.
Well, what did you used to listen to?
Well, I used to listen to all kind of crazy trap music and all kind of old hip hop that 3-6 Mafia. I'll still listen to it, but not like I used to. I used to flood my radio and my speakers with a bunch of just noise, really. That's what rap is becoming. Rap, it's not even rap anymore. It's just noise. And then podcast wise, I've listened to one of your podcasts, and I've one with Ben, and there's not a lot of mechanical podcasts really, that are really good. I guess maybe I have to rank you guys up there so you can get more exposure.
Well, we're always goofing around, and I mean, one of the things that we strive for is 1, uplift the trades, 2, don't make this a commercial for Centrotherm, 3, kind of have fun with it. So that's really our priority, and also at 4, have like, people who we think would be interesting to listen to ourselves. We assume other people out there in the world will also find interesting as well. So thank you for joining us, man. That's you fit that bill. And we'll let you go get back to those proposals, man, because they ain't gonna write themselves.
And we will see.
Yeah, and one of them I need you. Well, 2 of them I need you guys. So you'll be hearing from me later, anyways.
All right, let us know.
All right.
For you.
My phone is on.
Guys. All right, thank you.
You guys,
Thanks, man.
you take care. We'll see you real soon.
All right, boss. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys.
And we are back, and it's been quite a ride this episode already. We've been to Chicago and back. We've been to Baltimore
We haven't been
area.
wearing the same clothes, if you haven't noticed. We don't change our laundry very much.
Anyone who knows about production can kind of read between those lines or see between these pants even, maybe a little bit. I don't know. We're still experimenting with the blue room here. As you can see, my pants, my mouse pad, my pen. There's a lot of blue in here.
Light blue, you can see through. Dark blue seems to work okay.
It's if I put your arm up, like you'll see through, like my hand doesn't exist when it goes by underneath. It's wild.
We're experimenting.
We're having a good time here, of course, in blue heaven. I think that's what you call this, blue heaven.
Blue heaven. Okay.
So I don't know, there's a Steve Martin movie.
Didn't see it.
Yeah, it's called My Blue Heaven.
Okay. Didn't hear about it.
I think that's what we should call this.
You're showing your age, Mr. Price.
Well, it's before my time, but
Okay.
I think that's from the 70s, so like well before my time.
Before my time.
But Blue Heaven, I think that's what we should call this place.
Okay.
It's I can't say it's completely original. There was a radio host in New York City who, when they changed their studio place, they moved WFAN sports radio in New York City. That's the thing that I grew up listening to. The name of Mike Francesa's studio was Blue Heaven, and it was very blue. He was a big Yankee guy, Yankees and New York Giants. So various shades of blue, running the gamut all the way from navy to royal or whatever you want. There's a very big spectrum of blue. But here we are in Blue Heaven. It's our first one. We're in Waterford, New York. And,
come see us at the factory. If you're ever up this way, please come by, take a tour. We'll walk you through how the pipe is made.
Yeah, and this is probably going to be getting lengthy already, so we can just put a bow on it and say we'll see you in February for the birthday edition of the Mechanical Room. It will be my birthday around the time that we record this, so maybe some cake from there. What do you think?
Yeah, right.
Blow out the candles.
Anything sugar is good for me.
Blow out the candles. We haven't done that. Maybe think about that.
Early.
Appreciate that.
Okay, ladies and gents, thank you again, and stay tuned for more episodes. Peace.